In the history of the Catholic Church, saints are usually depicted holding a cross, a lily, or a Bible. But in October 2020, the Church beatified a teenager who is often depicted holding a PlayStation controller. Carlo Acutis was not your typical saint. Born in London and raised in Milan, he was a child of the internet age. He coded in Java, edited videos, and built websites. He was a normal kid who loved soccer and superheroes, but he had a secret obsession. While his classmates were browsing MySpace or playing video games, Carlo was building a massive global database. He spent years traveling, photographing, and cataloging evidence for what he called the highway to heaven. He was hunting for glitch events, moments in history where the laws of physics were suspended by the laws of God. Before he died of leukemia at the tragic age of 15, he told his mother, "I offer all the suffering I will have to suffer for the Lord, for the Pope and the Church." He left behind a website that is still online today, and at the very top of his list, case number 1, is a mystery that science has been trying to crack for 50 years. Carlo didn't just believe in miracles because he was pious. He believed in them because he saw the data. And the data from case number 1 is terrifyingly specific. Let's go back 1,200 years. The year is roughly 750 AD. The location is the small stone-built town of Lanciano in ancient Italy. It was a time of chaos. The church was fighting a massive internal war called the Iconoclast heresy, where emperors were destroying images of Christ and questioning the physical presence of God. In the monastery of St. Longinus, a Basilian monk was celebrating Latin Mass. History has mercifully forgotten his name, likely to protect his dignity, but it recorded his crisis. He was a man of science for his time, and he could not reconcile his reason with his faith. Every time he held the bread and said the words of consecration, a voice in his head whispered, "This is symbolism. This is ritual. This is not real." On this specific morning, the doubt was stronger than ever. As he spoke the words, "This is my body," the records state that he felt a physical change in his hands. The weight changed, the texture changed. He looked down. The white, round host had vanished. In its place, he was holding a ragged, dark red piece of muscular tissue. It was wet. It was bleeding. The wine in the chalice began to boil and bubble, eventually coagulating into 5 distinct clots of bright red blood. The monk began to weep uncontrollably. He turned to the congregation, his hands stained with blood, and screamed, "O fortunate witnesses, beheld the flesh and blood of our most beloved Christ." The terror and awe of that moment were so great that the people ran out of the church to spread the news. But usually stories like this fade into legend. This one didn't, because the flesh never decayed. Fast forward 12 centuries. It is 1970. We live in the age of moon landings and nuclear power. The Archbishop of Lanciano decides it is time to face the truth. If this is a fake, science will expose it. The church hired Dr. Odoardo Linoli, a heavyweight in the medical field. He was the head of the Laboratory of Pathological Anatomy and a professor of chemistry. The World Health Organization eventually appointed a commission to verify his work. This was not a church study. This was a forensic autopsy. In November 1970, Dr. Linoli took small samples of the flesh and the blood pellets. He placed them under high-powered microscopes. He ran chemical screens. On March 4, 1971, he published his report. It silenced the room. Finding number 1, the flesh is verified human tissue. Specifically, it is myocardium, the muscular wall of the heart. It contains the endocardium, the nerves, and even the vagus nerve. It is an anatomical cross-section of a human heart. Finding number 2, the preservation is scientifically impossible. Dr. Linoli looked for traces of salt, mummification fluids, or preservatives used in ancient times. He found nothing. The proteins in the blood were fractionated in the exact same ratio as fresh, normal blood. Basically, the blood in the chalice behaves as if it was drawn from a living arm today, not 1,200 years ago. But the most shocking detail was the blood type. Dr. Linoli ran the typing tests multiple times. The result was always the same, type AB positive.
Why is this significant? Because type AB is relatively rare in the general population, found in less than 5% of people. But in the world of relics, it seems to be the only type that matters. When scientists analyzed the Shroud of Turin, the burial cloth of Jesus, they found type AB blood. When they analyzed the Sudarium of Oviedo, the cloth that covered his face, they found type AB blood. When they analyzed the blood stains on the tunics of Argentil, they found type AB blood. Dr. Linoli's report created a connecting line between miracles separated by thousands of miles and hundreds of years. It suggests that all these relics are stained by the same man. Statistically, the chance of this being a coincidence, that medieval forgers in different centuries all happened to guess the same rare blood type before blood types were even discovered, is virtually zero. Science told us what it is, but Dr. Linoli also gave us a hint as to how it felt. This is the part that usually makes people stop breathing. When the professor analyzed the structure of the heart fibers under the microscope, he noticed something specific about the condition of the tissue. The fibers were twisted and contracted in a specific way. In his medical opinion, this heart tissue resembles a heart in a state of extreme agony. It mimics the condition of a heart undergoing a catecholamine storm, the kind of stress caused by torture, severe trauma, or immense emotional shock. The Miracle of Lanciano is not a static picture of a happy Jesus. It is a physical snapshot of the Passion. It is a heart that is literally dying of sorrow. It aligns perfectly with the biblical description of Gethsemane, where Christ was under such stress that he sweated drops of blood. The monk in 750 AD didn't just hold a piece of meat, he held a heart that was actively suffering for him. Skeptics have tried to debunk this for decades. They say maybe the monk killed someone and used their heart. But Dr. Linoli addressed this too. If you cut a heart out of a dead body, the blood degrades rapidly. Within days, it creates chemical byproducts of decay. The blood of Lanciano has the chemical profile of fresh blood. Furthermore, to slice a human heart into such a perfect thin cross-section without destroying the ventricles would require precision surgical tools that did not exist in the 8th century. A medieval monk with a rusty knife would have turned it into a shapeless mess. The precision of the anatomy is too advanced for the time period. Dr. Linoli concluded his presentation with a simple phrase: "It is a phenomenon that science cannot explain, but can only observe." This brings us back to Carlo Acutis. Why did a kid who loved Pokemon and PlayStation care so much about this? Because Carlo realized that we live in a world of skeptics. We are like the monk. We want proof. We want to see it to believe it. Lanciano is the answer to a scientific age. God didn't leave us a metaphor. He left us a biopsy. The flesh is still there in Italy. You can buy a plane ticket and see it. It hasn't rotted. It hasn't turned to dust. It is still waiting. The file is open. The evidence is on the table. The only question left is the one Carlo asked on his website. If God can turn bread into a heart, why can't we turn our hearts to God? If you want to see more files from Carlo Acutis' list, comment the list below and subscribe to join our investigation into the unexplained.